BoDean 52, how are you folks? You know, there's some really good things about fall riding. You get the leaf changes. Every now and then you'll get a day like today where people still come out, even though it's going to be 20 degrees cooler tomorrow. But there's certain things about fall riding, it just flat out stinks. So I love riding my motorcycle in cooler weather. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. Like today, it is beautiful out, even though it's going to be in the 40s tomorrow. There are actually even people out on the water, which is, they're saying, probably the last day or two of the year, where it's not going to be, quote, uncomfortable. And this isn't necessarily a conversation about how much cold can you take, because I'm about a, 40 degree guy. Not a huge fan of heated gear. I know I should be extends my riding season. I get all that. But just not just for some reason not into getting a whole bunch of new gear and putting it on to stay warm. You know, you got heated grips on my bigger bike. What else do you need? So, but I do really like riding them in the fall. Now, sometimes there's people like this that don't make it as fun. But I really do like it. And for a couple reasons. And I want to share those and really like to get your feedback as well. So, the first thing to me, obviously, is always the weather change. I mean, it's just so comfortable today. A little bit of a chill, but yet refreshing and just great. You're like, man, I could ride in this weather all day long. But who's kidding who? We could ride in any weather, really, if we want to, right? So I do like the weather. It's interesting, at least for me, when you wake up on the weekend and I probably did it Thursday or Friday, you start checking the weekend weather and you're like, oh man, it's going to be nice. In the summertime, you really don't check it because you're going to go out anyway. And in the winter, at least in Michigan, it's just going to snow. So you're not riding anywhere. But when you can get out, you definitely got to do that, right? So I love just the weather is the biggest part of it. To me, or one of the biggest parts. So the second thing I like about riding when it gets a little chillier in fall time is the colors start to change in the trees. And I was thinking today that they were going to be even more colorful, but they are not quite there. But it will be here soon, and it is honestly really beautiful riding out when there's a bunch of changing colors. I know there's a tunnel of trees in Michigan. I mean, all of this area is just freaking gorgeous. There's a road on my way to the office that is so beautiful that you'll see people in there and they'll try shutting down the road for like 10 minutes and they'll take wedding pictures on it. So I do love the change in colors. It just makes it so cool to ride. And I guess, you're starting to get a little bit of change here, but, man, I love how nice it is from a temperature perspective and then just a beauty perspective to ride when it's fall time. I think the third thing, and this is positive and negative, is it's getting towards the end of the season. And that can be a little bit, I call it motorcycle depressing. Right? That it's towards the end, but yet it gives you a sense of urgency, or me, to get out and ride even more just to enjoy it before winter comes. And to me that's good because it makes me enjoy the ride even more, if that makes sense. If that's even possible. And now you can see the colors. but just makes you appreciate it, in my opinion, a ton more, knowing that where you live, it's going to end. But let me tell you another thing, and really stupid thing I did the other day that kind of falls into the bad part sometimes about the fall and motorcycle riding. Well, there's two things. Number one is I want to get in front of that car. Number one is Duke here is a 2000, and he's a little finicky. And when it starts to get cold, man, he does not like it. He does not like it a bit. So, and it's a little chillier riding on this bike, so when it does really get cold, it's a lot easier to take the 2021 Road Glide Limited out, just a little bit more protection. And the other thing is, I had to put the windshield on last night. Now, we've talked about windshields or no windshields, and there's so many advantages to the windshield, especially if you're traveling longer distance, depending on where you're riding. Most of my stuff with this bike is somewhat local. I only probably put, 3,000 miles on it a year. Most of my major miles is on the other bike. So when I put the windshield on, this is a Clockworks, by the way, it's kind of like, again, it's that time. And I don't feel that air. I think the bike looks better without a windshield. And I like riding it without the windshield. So that kind of, is something that I don't necessarily look forward to. But today, I got to admit, this isn't bad. The windshield's doing awesome. And I know a lot of folks ride with their windshield all the time. And I get that, especially in the summer when it's hot. And then the other thing, and the last thing really about what I have to be careful of is some guys came into town last weekend to ride, and we ended up going for a long ride. It started at like noon. We stopped for lunch, and needless to say, I started getting home about a half hour from home, about 7:15ish, and it started to get dark. Now, I had a dark shield on, dark sunglasses, half a pack of cigarettes on our way to Chicago. Okay, if you get that reference on what movie that is, let me know. But as I was riding, I'm like, wow, I did bring my other glasses, so I'm like, I better get off. So I get off the bike, put the new glasses on, turn on the brights, and as I was riding home, I realized that I really have to go through, somewhat rural area with a lot of trees like this ride has been on. And as soon as I got on it and I looked over, by the way, I am a deer hunter, so I know better. I look over and there had to be 50 doe in this field that were from me to that barn away. What are all of these people doing? Well, this guy's going to turn, so I'm going to take advantage of that. A king can still get after it. And there's no other bike that sounds as good as this one, I'm telling you. But riding a half hour from 7:15, 7 o'clock till 7:45 in the woods in hunting season, where the deer are out, not real smart. Not real smart. Just, I will tell you that I didn't video anything just because I wanted to make sure that I was 100% paying attention, because it was a little sketchy for sure with Bambi being all over the place. But you know what? Even though it may get a little colder, even though sometimes you got to take it a little bit easier because of conditions, I'm going to ride this bike until salt goes down. Whenever that is, I'm going to make sure to still get out on the Road King. Even though it's a little temperamental, I'll just warm him up and give him some extra coffee. He'll be okay. I just am not ready yet. Are you? Thanks for checking in, folks. Be safe out there. This is BoDean 52. Check on a friend, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.